She stood in front of the mirror, holding the dress up to her chest, eyes glowing with the kind of excitement that made it hard to breathe. A sea of tiny plush rats stitched along the hem, rainbow flags sewn into the sleeves, and across the chest, bold block letters screamed, "I support gay rats." She turned to me, beaming. "Isn't it perfect?" My stomach dropped. This was the dress she wanted to wear to my best friend's wedding. A wedding between two men who had waited years for this moment, to stand in front of the people they loved and finally be seen. And now, my girlfriend of nearly 2 years was asking me to co-sign a spectacle. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to be the partner who supported every wild idea, every flash of creativity, every quirky fashion choice. I had been that person. But this wasn't just quirky. This was a disaster waiting to happen. And suddenly, I was staring down a choice I never thought I'd have to make. Protect my partner's self-expression, or protect the dignity of my friends on the most sacred day of their lives. And so, I said the words that lit the fuse. "Maybe that dress isn't really appropriate." She froze. It was like I had slapped her, and in that moment, I had no idea just how far this would go, how a meme dress would burn down our relationship and show me who she really was. Let me back up. I'm 25. She's 30. Let's call her Nat. When we met, I was drawn to her immediately. She had this vibrant firework energy that made every room feel electric. She dressed like no one else I knew. Colorful tights, homemade earrings shaped like fruit, layers of mismatched fabrics and prints. Think Harper Finkel from Wizards of Waverly Place, if she had an Etsy shop and a soft spot for Tumblr-era chaos. I loved it. I really did. Because it wasn't about attention. At least not at first. It was about joy. About defying convention. About living loudly. And I admired that. Until I started noticing something else underneath the glitter and glue. Sometimes, she would wear clothes covered in memes, inside jokes from the internet, obscure references that she would have to explain to confused strangers, like the time she wore a dress inspired by Bean Dad, or that hoodie that said, "I'm baby, respect me." It was weird, but it was her. And I never tried to stop her. But weddings? Weddings are different. This one was for my close friend. We've known each other since college. He and his fiancée, both men, had finally gotten engaged after a decade together. They'd faced a lot: disapproving parents, long-distance stretches, job changes, but they made it. And they were planning a beautiful, intimate wedding. Formal dress code, garden ceremony, string quartet, champagne toast, and then Nat showed me the dress, inspired by a meme from an old Arthur episode where the teacher, Mr. Ratburn, comes out as gay and gets married. Online, it got nicknamed the Gay Rat Wedding. Nat thought it was iconic, symbolic, a perfect tribute. She spent hours crafting the dress. Stuffed rats she found on eBay, little satin pride flags, a hand-painted slogan on the chest, and she wanted to wear it to their wedding. I tried to tread gently. "Maybe it's not the best time to make a statement," I said. She looked at me like I'd just betrayed her. "You're throwing water on my flame of creativity." I told her this wasn't about her. This was about them. This was their day. They didn't even really like her style to begin with. One of them had joked before that she dressed like a cartoon character in a fever dream. I laughed it off at the time. But I knew this dress wouldn't land the way she thought it would. And she couldn't see it, or wouldn't. To her, I wasn't just doubting the dress, I was doubting her. She pulled away from me emotionally, stopped texting back as quickly, started making snide comments about how I was ashamed of her or trying to make her boring. I reassured her. I told her I loved her individuality. I always had. But weddings are sacred. They're not a costume party. I thought we were at an impasse, so I did something I probably shouldn't have. I posted anonymously on Reddit. I laid it all out. The dress, the meme, the wedding, the tension. I wanted clarity. Was I being too controlling? Was I the bad guy? The responses flooded in, thousands, and they all said the same thing. You are not the asshole. One comment hit me hard. It said, imagine showing up to a gay wedding in a dress that calls the couple rats. Even if you think it's a compliment, it's dehumanizing. This isn't allyship. This is mockery in a rainbow coat. Another said, weddings are not your personal runway. If your creativity needs an audience, try a gallery opening, not someone else's once-in-a-lifetime ceremony. I felt seen, validated. So I showed her the post, and that's when everything blew up. She found it. Somehow. Despite the anonymous account, despite the vague details, she knew. Maybe because deep down, she knew it was about her. She was livid. How could you humiliate me like this? She said. You've turned the internet against me. I pointed to the comments from LGBTQ people. Real people who would have been in that wedding. People who said it felt condescending, objectifying, cruel. She didn't flinch. They don't get it, she snapped. This was my way of appreciating the gays. And that was the moment. The moment I knew this wasn't just about a dress, or a meme, or fashion. It was about ego, about how she saw herself, not as someone attending a wedding, but as someone who deserved the spotlight. And if the couple, the people getting married, didn't like it, well, that was their problem. That was the night I made my decision. Love can move mountains, but it cannot carry the weight of unchecked narcissism, and it sure as hell can't survive passive-aggressive homophobia wrapped in glitter and rats. So I broke up with her. I told her I couldn't stand by someone who needed to be the main character so badly. She'd hijack a wedding just to prove a point no one asked her to make. She screamed, cried, called me small-minded, told me I'd regret choosing normalcy over brilliance. But I didn't regret it, not for a second. I went to the wedding alone, wore a dark suit, simple tie, watched my friend tear up as his husband walked down the aisle. The sunlight hit the flowers just right. The string quartet played Can't Help Falling in Love. And for once, no one was trying to steal the moment. Later, I pulled my friend aside and told him everything. The dress, the argument, the Reddit post. He howled with laughter, but then he turned serious. If she had shown up in that thing, he said, we would have kicked both of you out. No hesitation. So, that's the story. I tried to be supportive. I tried to be understanding. But in the end, I chose respect. I chose empathy. I chose not to be complicit in someone else's train wreck. So, am I the asshole? Or was this always going to crash, with or without the dress? And now, a final word from your host, here at AITA Story Vault. This story wasn't about fashion. It wasn't about memes. It wasn't even really about weddings. It was about boundaries, about knowing where your expression ends and someone else's sacred space begins. Creativity is beautiful. Individuality is powerful. But when you use them to trample someone else's moment, someone else's dignity. They stop being virtues. They become weapons. To every listener out there, ask yourself, have you ever made something about you when it really wasn't? Have you ever justified behavior by calling it self-expression, when deep down it was just self-centeredness? And have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace or protecting someone else's joy? We'd love to hear your story in the comments. This is AITA Story Vault, where real stories meet real reckoning. And until next time, be kind, be thoughtful, and read the room.